Well, because they're infrared, okay, and they're beaming. If there's too much light in the room, it breaks up the beam and it can't talk to it. You have to, this is what we had to do. We had to take a box, a black box, and put it over the RCX and the tower, and then push download, and you just have to listen for it, and then it beeps.
And all of this was my first time to use Camtasia, so I was in the learning process as well. So I was trying to figure out, okay, was it on my end that I needed to make the files smaller? Was it something that I could improve upon for next time?
Being directed to the same Okay, so you do have a produce video option.
Meaning that if you want to build a ball, you want the ball to bounce, or if you want to build a ball to go to a link to go to your website, you have to put the script in. And that's sort of what the hardest thing about it is trying to script something. I mean, you can build things, but it's actually putting that script in there where it gets hard. How to do stuff.
I've done a little bit of visual basic, where you like make the ball bounce around the screen. So is that kind of on the same principle? Or
yeah, it's on the same principle, but in the second one, you pretty much build.
Which is 80% of what your regular notebooks, laptops, or desktops. So, I looked at the Visser, the Palm Pilot, and the Pocket PC were the two different types that I looked at. And I went with the Visser, one reason because I could find enough of them to use in my classroom use. And the Pocket PC, even though it had the colored screen and things, it was just a little bit more complex structure and infrastructure than I thought my kids were ready for. Find whatever you're going to shoot.
I just pressed a button.
Okay, go back to home. And then you should have a symbol on there. There you go.
Cool. Yes, they are. I teach kindergarten. And so try to build my version of WordQuest is very, very different than a lot of other people's versions. So.
Their students in face-to-face class.
Hi, nice to meet you.
There's a significant difference between face-to-face and online perceptions of and soon. They were also asked if it's based on their gender.
Yes. And I didn't answer all of them. I knew I wouldn't be able to do that. I wondered how that works. I get frustrated when the teachers don't answer, but then I said,
There is significant similarity between face-to-face and online courses. Assessments given in the course are usually multiple choice or true or false. After completing the course, I can recall most of what I learned in the course. This question could cause the most concern because
has a description of the math game or their math game, and then it gives a description of what they want. And my husband's I've had a couple teachers, and one's a high school teacher, and she's said that they've used them at home.
And one day he left the card on the back window of our car at the front, and the Minister of Education and Music. My mom
Make it juke and jive, which is what this one does. But I don't know if you simply hit the on and then the run. And this one, we call it the juke and jive. It would roll and stop and juke and jive. On the carpet, it's a little rough on it. It sometimes can knock pieces loose. But the kids really enjoyed it. So this was our dancing robot doing its juke and its jive.
And they programmed that?
They programmed it. They would do the programming on the computer and then download it and tell it exactly what to do. And they're so funny, they would count. They knew that they had told it to travel forward for 5 seconds, so they count 1, 2, and then, okay, it's supposed to do it now. So it was fun to see them learn like that. And then when they realized that they were doing computer programming, they were just awed. They couldn't believe it. The conclusion that I found for it was that the boys dove right in. They actually could care less about the tutorials. I just made them watch it. They dove right in. The girls wanted me to sit and say, okay, now here's the picture in the book. This is how you need to make the base. And once they started venturing out a little bit on their own, they were pretty excited to do it. Actually, it took one girl to say, I can do this. She started building it, and they looked at her and said, she can do it, I can do it. And then the other group felt it as well. So, and the kids are so excited because after we did this project, my administrator came in and said, okay, I've got funding for you to do a robotics class after school. You can be the paid sponsor and I'll buy you 4 NXTs, which is the new version of the RCX. And it's more like the Bluetooth. It doesn't need the infrared. It can be downloaded from anywhere. So my project worked out well for me.
That was they were aware of and I introduced it into and then the instruction itself, I made videos and also students will be introduced to these resources during orientation, so we're going to log in where they're at. And then the Blackboard classes resource will be on their Blackboard list of classes throughout their education. And the teachers will be emailed and notified and resources reminded. They're not used to using resources like this, and then they need to continually be reminded of, say, oh yeah, that's there, I can go there and get help.
Classify numbers within a real number system.
So this is the graphic organizer that we made, and I designed this, which is really just kind of as a tool for the students, and we did formative assessments, and this is kind of the tool that we worked from.
Okay,
but it seems very straightforward.
Natural counting is everything but 0, and then wholes have 0, right? And then you get the negative numbers, integers. Rationals is fractions.
Repeating for R and T for terminating decimals, repeating and terminating decimals, and then non-repeating, non-terminating decimals are here. And then of course irrational, the non-imaginary numbers we don't even talk about that. They're not ready for that. So this anyway. So at my school, our school is pretty diverse. I teach in Johnson County, and
edit link right to Professor Dodge's website and several other links, so that they wouldn't have to spend time searching the internet, and they could actually take something away from this. I used the summative evaluation on the end of it. Obviously, if 20% of the respondents get back, we don't have time to do it. And this is really based on about 30% of what we just did.
Which is what number? How many?
Approximately 30. We have about 120 staff members, teachers for our district. The format, they really like the format of the instruction. A couple of open-ended comments that I received, where they, again, they really liked the various resources that I gave them. On the resource page, there were links to other articles that describe what request further.
So the goal is to get everyone in our district on that system, but middle and high school are kind of dragging their heels. They don't want to have to explain the changes.
Special ed as in any gifted in that group or no?
The special ed that I'm documenting is not gifted. They are actually 7 kids with written IEPs, and they all receive co-support in science.
Okay.
So they're actually gifted.
You have an IEP in just science?
They have an IEP and it includes science.
Right. So, do any of them just have science on their
No.
Okay.
No, but it's...
I wonder if that could happen. My wife is a science teacher, so...
At the elementary level, no, because they put kids in for science because for the socialization.
You know, give this resource to teachers they can go to, watch a tutorial, download an outline, whatever. Maybe solve some of their own problems instead of taking our time as building experts. Because you know, all this stuff happens at the beginning of the year. Everybody's trying to get stuff ready. At the end of the semester, trying to get grades done, all that kind of stuff. Electronic gradebook system, if you're not familiar with it, this allows recording grades, attendance, discipline, and there's a web version side of it that allows parents to log in and see all of the information on their kids' grades, whether they're tardy, how much they have left in their lunch account, and all that. We apply it every day in our classroom, but sometimes we forget it in service, because the presenter gets up front, talks to us, goes through their spiel, we go to class.
This is only my 4th year here, so I can't do that. This is my youngest graduate these days. Hey, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you and I did the same thing. We took the 800 that summer, and then we had to dive right into 810.
But come to think about it, like,
Yeah. I tried to take all of my harder stuff that I didn't want to save to the very end. I'm trying to do that first.
I pretty much, since we met every day, the students would go ahead and once we read the information, they would go ahead and post. I would have a question on there that they would answer. They would tell me something that they learned. They would have to answer and communicate with a peer. Maybe I want you to respond to 2 of your peers
County Public Library. What is constructivist learning? Well, there's 6 elements that make up the constructive learning process. Those elements are reflections, questions, situations, grouping, exhibits, and bridge. And them elements help to eliminate the process of what the learner already knows and what he or she may need to know.
That looked great on paper. It didn't look so hot on the computers. There were modifications along the way. So overall, I used 2 different types of mind buildings that were the same grade levels, the same similar age types, grade